Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Osmania Long Note Tournament 4th edition. We are rolling right along this round of 32 weekend with another very exciting doubleheader for you here today on the main channel. We'll be bringing you guys Plana going up against Minwoo3098 to see who will be continuing on their bracket run. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by this time around by none other than Epic Man 2. How's it going, man?
Hello, yeah, life's been rocking for me lately, and yeah, we've got yet another match on our belt to be able to consume, and it's looking to be a pretty close one as well. Gonna be Plana going up against the likes of Minwoo, so very, very interesting matchup, especially in the early game of things, and it seems like we already kind of skipped over seeing the bans and protects, but it seems like we have two coordination maps getting a ban, whereas we do have some other maps getting protected as well. Going to be Tech 3 and Wildcard 2. Interesting choices while we go into Coordination 2 shortly.
Yeah, they were all rearing and ready to go while we were waiting for the countdown to finish up here. Makes things easier for us. We get right into the action. No need for preamble, no need for any sort of filler as we jump right on into the match itself. Coordination 2 going to be the first pick from Plana, who ended up winning the roll 99 to 84. So gonna see how they do on this particular pick.
Yeah, cutting down the filler. There really isn't much time to waste. We do have this match on our hands, and it looks like both these players are ready to dial in for what this could become of the LN tournament as it is. The round of 32 bracket is going to be where things begin to ramp up, and that is going to be with our starter pick, Chase Me. So this one going to be kind of the in-betweener for the coordination maps, although it is a little closer to some of the more Foster picks that we have in this map pool overall, especially comparing this to some maps from perhaps the wildcard and density categories of things.
Yeah, the sole survivor of the coordination pool, both players really not finding them to their liking. I guess this being the lesser of all evils in that sort of category. But right now, I mean, these two are really just slugging it out right now. 99.82 for both of them, separated by only 100%. Plana holding on to the minor advantage going into the back half of the chart here, but it is still inside of 200 points between both players.
Absolutely. Very strong starts from both these players, especially going past into the back half of the chart. And so far, neither of these players have really taken a foot wrong, especially on this path where they are basically chasing for that first point to be able to start the match off, in which so far doesn't seem like anyone has such an objective advantage going into this chart. It's really only just like flickers of advantages going into oneself's side, but nothing drastic to be seen while we go into this final course here, which is going to have to be decided. If this ends up being really close, I might actually be scared. Oh my goodness.
Oh god, they're virtually tied. It is still hundreds of percent. Last couple of notes, and it's going to be Plana winning it out. 200 points, the margin of victory. Oh my goodness, what a start to this match.
You're kidding? Dude, the match only just started. What do you mean there's only 200 points of a difference? What?
No, I can't do back-to-back like this, man.
Dude,
we have Mucci and Leon slug it out for the opening 6 picks of that match, where it was inside of 1,800 points. You're telling me we're getting another match where these two are going to be inside of, what, 500 now? It's 200, the margin of victory. Literally a couple of 200s. And that's all the difference. You were saying it. This is the make or break round for we consolidate the seedings a little bit, and next thing you know, I mean, those margins get so much smaller as Minwoo opts to go for Tech 1 for their first pick.
Damn, yeah. This is already a bit of an insane start to the match. Oh, we're not even like 5 minutes in, or well, now we are, as the timer just goes onto that 5th minute of the hour, but Lord save me. This is going to be a bit of a crazy match if things continue this way, and I can definitely envision that with the likes of Tech 1, Love Car. This one kind of a lot more Flam Grace heavy when it comes to how technical it is, and it also utilizes a bunch of the release technicality as well to kind of further its agenda onto either of the players playing it. So definitely a bit of a fair place for contest against between both these players. And I guess at this point, both players have sent out their good luck to have funds. So yeah.
Gonna roll right along into this. If this is as close as Coordination 2 was, then I hope you guys are buckled in once again for a hell of a ride. I don't know if my heart can take this, but I'll do my best as we get things underway here. As the players settle in through these first opening patterns, a lot of awkward grace notes not catching either of them out as they settle in. I imagine the bar for both of these players in this round is effectively 99.8 or bust. Like the skill of the players in this upper half of the bracket. I mean, this is what, 14 versus 19. The overall qualifier average difference is what, like 2,000 points between each respective player, if that.
Yeah. Dude, I swear these players are literally bringing us into labor already. We didn't even, like, make a proper start of this match. Like, you're already making it hard for us to, like, have a regular reaction, bro. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
this is a pretty hot start from both players, still holding on to both their FCs as things stand, but actually Plana being able to eke out a tiny bit more of an advantage, still inside of 0.5%. So Minwoo not out of this by any stretch of the imagination, but on their opening pick, the fact that Plana is holding on to the accuracy advantage for now going into the back half of the map does spell a little bit of trouble moving forward if they aren't able to kind of capitulate some of that accuracy loss and start really honing down, trying to sharpshoot it, or hope for maybe an errant 200 or two from Plana to kind of bring them back into their clutches. But I mean, still, 2,000 point lead, not anything to scoff at in terms of trying to make a comeback here, especially with a third of the map left.
Yeah, and on top of the fact that both these players are fairly prolific within their own countries, I'd say Plana kind of a little more of a veteran in their own country, especially for the Philippines being a country that is quite reputable when it comes to the players that are capable of LN patterns in there. And then USA, nothing to scoff at either, reigning with some of the best players that we have in the Mania industry as well. Minwoo kind of being a more recent player, I'd say, to the scene, but even then, like, seems like Minwoo suffering some misjudgments here that's going to bring the lead over to the side of Plana, as it's about 2,500 points going into the final 6 of the chart. This is yet another course. We still have a lot of these really odd releases and some of these release tech as well that often include a lot of graces and flams as well. So gonna really need to at least not blink for just a few more seconds to be able to get that point in. Gonna make it 2-0 for the side of Plana, as we could see.
Yeah, last couple of notes raining down here. Gotta watch these last couple of releases. And yes, the first break point of the match will go to the way of Plana, making it 2-0, winning the ratio battle once again, and a couple extra 200s rather in the back pocket to spare to ensure that they had in the context of this match, a pretty decent stranglehold on the lead. It's still inside of 2,000 points, all things said and done. So definitely skating by, but I mean, similar to the last match that we saw on the mainstream, it's those fine margins that are separating these players at the moment, and Plana just having that little bit of extra consistency to work with, being their saving grace in this match as they opt to go for Density 1.
Okay, yeah, that's a very interesting pick. Saving the Protects for later, which is honestly the sensible decision here. I think if I was in this match personally, I wouldn't want to bring out maps like Tech 3 or Wildcard 2 until like maybe later in the match, where I gotta take some risks to be able to try and snag some points for the sole purpose of being able to equate the competition. And that's exactly what Minwoo is going to have to do when it comes to this density map, just because of the fact that they haven't really accumulated any points yet. But despite that, the competition was still at a pretty fair margin, even on the coordination map that we had. The only one on the board, which was very close until that ending there.
Yeah, I feel like we might see this match begin to kind of evolve into one of those cases where if a map has a majority like straightforward like 1/4 releases, like everything's kind of fair and on a structured grid, we'll see those back and forth like inside 200-300 point margins because both these players are really good at just general coordinated releases. It's once we get into these maps similar to like Tech 1 where you have those awkward release patterns, you have those staggered starts, ambiguous releases in terms of timing, that will maybe see Plana begin to eke out a bit of an advantage, just based off the sample size of one map. But seeing if Minwoo can adjust, see how this one goes, maybe kind of change up what they're gonna opt to go into. Because I mean, they did protect Tech 3, so maybe they'll kind of eschew that protect and maybe go for the other density picks, depending on how this one goes.
Yeah, in which the fact that this is even the first density pick of many that's going to be chosen in the match is kind of mind-boggling to me. Just the fact that this is one of the longest by far maps that we have in the map pool for like any kind of resort, really, whether it's a last resort or it's an initial resort. The fact that people have been choosing it like real early into matches is honestly really interesting to me, just because I would expect this type of map to be thrown out like late, you know, just to try and just really capitalize on the nerves of your opponent here. And I can definitely see Plata trying to utilize that against Minwoo here as well, going to try and make it halfway through this match overall. But Minwoo still has quite the opportunity to bring out some sneak attacks against Plana here, especially with how this map doesn't really let up on the gas so often.
Yeah, this could very much be one of those cases where it's like, yeah, you're both comfortable on a pick like this, but in terms of where your ceiling is at, when you're trying to max out everything, we see a couple 200 come out from Minwoo there, damaging their standing just a little bit. Plana might actually have just a higher ceiling in terms of where their resting accuracy is. We see them hovering in and around that 99.9 mark. Minwoo trying to keep themselves above that 99.7 mark in response, with a third of the map already gone. Like you were mentioning, one of the longer maps in this pool, so plenty of time to make up the difference here. But before too long, if you wait a little too long to start trying to bring back that accuracy, it might be a little too late when all is said and done. But as of right now, still advantage Plana going into the back half.
Yeah, exactly, and we can definitely see that Plana's doing a really good job. Both players having done an incredible job being able to maintain their full combos up until now. We have not really seen any misses from anyone throughout this match thus far, and we're only 3 maps in, so there's still quite a lot of meals that we've got to order off of this menu here, especially while both these players are basically in a food fight, as we can see. Dude, I can't lie, this reminds me of Man vs. Food, if anyone like remembers that. I remember my dad used to like watch it like, what, maybe a decade ago? But like, this is literally what this tournament literally encapsulates to me. I don't know.
It might be all the noodle references. You're getting hungry watching this match. But
yeah,
as we continue on here, I mean, both players continuing on relatively steadily here. Plana not really losing that much accuracy. Minwoo actually making up some of that ground, bringing it into about 1/10% with a quarter of the map left to go. This is still within catching range if Plana were to find a mistake this late on. But I mean, so far, 2 for 2 on the FCs and looking on course for a third one for both of them. As things stand, it's really just going to come down to keeping this outro as clean as humanly possible. But there's really not a lot in terms of pitfalls. It really just comes down to concentration at the end of the day, and I mean, both these players basically living up to that billing as the last couple of patterns begin to rain down. Last sliver of map coming through here, and as things stand, Plana looking on course to capitalize on that opening breakpoint to make this match a very early 3-0, leaving Minwoo with some questions to answer here for the rest of this match.
Yeah, very strong scores from both these players, and a very good response from Plana to be able to continue on their streak with victorious maps as well. And even then, that score of 996k is quite scary to see on a density map like this, where it's literally 3.5 minutes long. Like, and only one, and the fact is that close to V1SS as well makes it all the more scarier how it's literally just nearly 200 perfects under Minwoo's score from earlier. But that aside, we can't advance on with the match. I believe it should be Minwoo's turn to make the next move, and honestly, I feel like at this point they're gonna have to try and go for another map that's gonna be like Rose's Post. They're gonna be throwing out the Protect that is going to be Empath, as we can see.
Yeah, going straight for the Protect here, just needing to right the ship a little bit in terms of trying to get something under their belt in terms of a point, and going for a Protect. I mean, this is probably what they've scored highest on in their practice, and this could be a very big turning point in this match if it doesn't go Minwoo's way. I don't really feel like there's many avenues left for them to kind of approach this from to get themselves back in here. So this is truly a do or die situation for them in the context of this match.
Yeah, exactly. Plana is only 1 point away from match point after all, so I feel like anything that Minwoo can at least pull out of the bag to be able to claw themselves the lead, or at least like inch closer to it as we go on, then that's going to be what matters the most out of all things. And especially this one being literally, this map's also a reuse from Dynascape's Intermediate Cup from over a year ago, so this map going to be capitalizing on some of these really awkward bursts and releases as well that are very control heavy. I feel like this is one of the most sensible change of paces that we can probably see going into a match like this, where we were just seeing literal clusters of a lot of these more conventional maps, so to say.
Oh, and unconventional is the key word there. Plana getting taken for a bit of a ride in terms of their overall accuracy, falling well below the margin that we've seen them open these maps with, trying to get back up to that 99.7 mark. Meanwhile, Minwoo looking incredibly comfortable with this introduction, crossing that 400 combo cap with relative ease. And actually, I didn't even catch it. Plana actually finding a miss through that introduction, being behind with that as well. You look at the combo counts, I mean, there's a 400 note difference between the two of them, so pretty sizable advantage for Minwoo right out of the gate here.
Yeah, this definitely goes to show that this was a very good response from the side of Minwoo, being able to present that not all hope is gone for their side, and especially then this map doesn't really let up on the gas that much either. There's still breakpoints where you can really just take a little bit of a breather, but even then it still shoves a lot of these patterns down your throat, which you're gonna have to try your best to act your way out, because otherwise, if that doesn't go in your favor, this could probably be your worst pick ever. But even then, we can see Minwoo capitalizing off of this very well, not having found any kind of choke in comparison to Plana here, who's, I believe, taking her first choke across the entire match thus far.
Yeah, first miss between either player, and right now Minwoo kind of riding off that gap, separating the two of them, because Plana's actually made up that accuracy discrepancy right behind Minwoo, about 400%, but Minwoo riding that extra miss in the back pocket to the tune of about 4,000 points. That's how much you do capitulate if you do find a drop early on in maps, and it takes about 0.3% to make it up if you're gonna FC the rest of the map. So unless Minwoo trades that miss back, there's very little Plana can do from the situation outside of just hold on to as high of an accuracy as they can, because if Minwoo were to spike one this late on, that lead is gonna immediately shoot back in their favor as things stand.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever it comes to the situation that you find yourself under pressure in response to finding a miss early into the map, the one thing that recovers the one thing that matters, I don't really know why I used the wrong word there. The one thing that matters there is to at least try and focus on your recovery game, to try and claw back the combo as best as you can. But even then, Minwoo has not really made much of a mistake reciprocating that of Plana's slider break. And even then, the ratio battle was actually won by Plana. So I feel like if not for that slider break, this probably would have been their point. But unfortunately for the slider break, that is going to be Minwoo's first win, finally.
that's what, like a 900 point gap between the two of them. If Plana doesn't find the drop, the extra 300s, the extra 200 as well. Like, again, going back to the same point, it's just those fine margins. The singular slider break being the difference gives Minwoo a point in this match, makes it 3-1, gives them a sign of life. It earns them another pick in this match at the very least. And we go to wildcard 2 now.
Oh boy. God damn it. Dude. Is it weird that I still kind of just like flinch whenever I see my maps like just picked in when I'm commentary? Like,
no, that's a pretty normal reaction. There have been times where I've seen my maps get picked and it's just like, oh god, please have a positive reaction to it. Please have a positive reaction to it. And you're just hoping that people say that they like it, because I mean they're the ones that have to practice them at the end of the day. And I mean, it's not to everybody's taste, but you hope that at least like one person's like, yeah, this was pretty fun. And that's always a validation you really need. But
yeah, of course.
As things stand, looks like the good lucks are coming through here. We're gonna get into this fifth map of this best of 9. Plana looking to maintain this advantage. Minwoo looking to try and get that first breakpoint back. They're gonna need it if they want to restore parity here.
Yeah, exactly. This map is quite a bit of a popular map pick that I've seen from a bunch of various matches going into this round of first, which honestly surprises me by quite a fair margin. And especially seeing here, both these players not really stepping any foot wrong going into this map. This features a lot of these really stream-oriented directional patterns where you just need to control a lot of the releases that you have, because like I feel like this map is only 2.5 minutes long, so any misjudgment that you get out of it is going to really cost you a bunch of points, and that is exactly what neither of these players can afford, especially with Minwoo looking to at least try and strive for even more points, riding off the adrenaline from Tech 3, as we have seen.
Yeah, and as things stand, already a quarter of the map gone here, and you can cover that scoreboard with basically a postage stamp. As things stand, it is 0.03% separating both players. Plana is able to eke out the tiniest bit of an advantage, but Minwoo is right there with them, trying to answer back this potential breakpoint opportunity. 2/3 of the map still left to go, still plenty of action left to come here. A singular 200 could blow this whole map wide open based on how these two have been playing so far.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, going into the back of the chart, we are now just about in that second course, and the score on the top still flickers like it's literally trying to recreate the Dr. Mario pill. And that alone is something to be concerned about, just because of the fact that you're this far into the match, that you're this far into the map that you are already going into the final third, where you go into this final bridge. And you cannot, like, it cannot be this close, because it literally reminds me of how Golden Nation 2 was going. But this next course of the map is where things are going to really ramp up, although I don't know how prepared either of these players are for it.
Yeah, you get these full 4-column inundation patterns where you have these shorter LNs interspersed in between that are trying to take your focus away from the longer ones. And right now, Minwoo falling a little bit victim. A couple of extra 300s for the road, gonna drop them down below that 99.8 mark. Plana still holding on to that margin that they've had, about 0.04% for a majority of this map, and it's accounting for this basically 1,000 point lead. You gotta watch the releases here at the end. It's so critical as you don't lose it right at the end. And as the last couple of notes rain down, Plana manages to hang on, makes it a match point situation. It is now 4-1 in their favor.
Incredible scores from both these players, and also just sub 400 perfects.
It's a V1 double S.
V1 double S as well is crazy. I mean, oh my goodness. The fact that this is even a popular pick across various of the matches that have been going on in this round alone is scary to me, because why are people just destroying this map? This was literally one of my first attempts at trying to make like literal LN coordination. Like, this cannot be done. It's illegal, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy how far the bar has been pushed at this point, but I mean, somebody needs to be the winner of these maps, and right now the plotters are going to Plana in terms of the overall victories on those picks. And as we wait to see what the pick from Minwoo is going to be, there are some options here for them. That Tech 3 pick really worked out in their favor. finding that early break from Plana and being able to just ride that miss to the end. Maybe they might want to go back to it, but it's going to be wildcard 1 instead. So going for one of the two originals in this pool, the tiebreaker being the other one, of course, but seeing if they can maybe get lucky once again to make it a second point here.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing is for Minwoo here is that despite being down by so many points, the only option that they have really is to try and force that tiebreaker. So at this point, the nerves are probably really getting onto them despite trying their best to beat that devil on the shoulder of Plana. So I feel like with this map alone, it's really just going to have to fall under the don't think, just feel mentality. Just try and go into this map as confident as possible to be able to try and snag a point out of this, because at this point, any of these picks matter a lot more to Minwoo than just at the start, even with that very explosive start from the side of Plana. And there's only really just 4 maps on the board after that, which just fall under 1 tech map, 1 wildcard, and then 2 density maps, which I believe some of the more straightforward density charts are something that Minwoo needs to avoid at all costs after this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the only way to get there is by winning this pick. This is imperative that they mirror the kind of performance they had on Tech 3. And right now, I mean, there's going to be that similar back and forth we've seen between these two players where it's just hundreds of a percent separating both of them. And right now, early going, we've seen this happen multiple times now where they are virtually just tied. And as the map progresses, it just feels like Plana's able to maintain that steadiness, that consistency throughout. Meanwhile, Minwoo kind of falls off just a tiny bit. I mean, again, these are just ratio differences at the end of the day, but going through the first quarter of this map, not going to be true to form in terms of that situation. They're virtually tied once again. 57 points basically separating these two. Maybe a handful of 300s between the two of them going into the next third.
Numbers that low in the score difference are just scary in general.
There is no scoreboard.
Yeah.
It disappears. It's gone. It's taking a vacation. Bye. I'm gone. I can't keep track of this anymore.
No. It's okay. I'll keep track of it for you. Welcome back to MWC 2017, guys. We're going to be looking right at the numbers of the scores individually to see who has the advantage, in which it's actually going to be Plana in with about 1,000 points variabling around the sphere, as we can see rotating that computer once again in the background. This is still in a good favor of both players. It's really just down to any sort of mistake that Plana needs to make so that Minwoo can just simply feast off of to be able to try and climb that lead back, because this is exactly what they're going to be needing. It's right here.
Yeah, settling into this outro now. Last quarter of the map left to go. It's that same situation. Just Plana able to keep themselves just that by a nose. It is literally just a hair's breadth away in terms of a lead inside of 1,000 points right now that Minwoo needs to overcome. And I mean, this is their best shot of trying to overcome the difference. It's not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination, and sometimes you just need to maintain it, hope that your opponent comes down to your level. But right now, an eighth of the map still left to go, 300% separating both players, and the gap between the two of them is negligible at this point. As we continue on through this outro, it feels like Plana has this, but anything can still happen on this outro.
Exactly. Final few nodes rain down on the board. The playfield is not on until it's gone, and that is going to be it. That is going to be only 1,000 points in favor of Plana. The V1 double S to end it all, and even then losing that ratio battle, it was the greats and the absolute lack of misjudgments that really gave that lead up to Plana. Very incredible job at being able to capitalize off of a lot of these maps, and unfortunately for Minwoo, not being able to stack up to the odds quite as much, as Plana here going to be knocked down into the losers bracket, going to be up against whoever wins between Pabu and Malza. Whereas, unfortunately for the likes of Plana here, they're going to have to face off against Muko and Muchi full on next week in the round of 16.
I mean, hey, if they can put up those scores, I mean, we saw Leon take Mewtwo to task a little bit in this round, so I mean, not an impossible task. The map will get a little bit harder, though. To be fair, Mewtwo does scale really well into late games, so that's gonna be an interesting one to follow. That might be the marquee matchup of next weekend. But yeah, that will do it for this one. Congratulations to Bottom. We're not out of it just yet. Just gonna need to make that losers bracket run. Definitely has it within themselves to pull out some incredible results. So gonna be interesting to see how they perform next weekend. With that being said, there is one match left in this block of matches at 18 UTC. It's gonna be Anthony2308 going against Jose XD to see who will be continuing on into the round of 16. So definitely more action to come. We're only just getting things started. There's even the whole Sunday block of matches. So Epic Man, you got anything else left to add before we say goodbye for now?
I mean, honestly, I think I've pretty much said all the things that I needed to say. We've just witnessed some crazy matches back to back going into the round of 32 weekend. And it's only Saturday as well. We still have just another day to witness these murders as well. Oh my goodness. And the fact that Anthony and Joe's is literally right only in 30 minutes, I have a feeling that this one's going to be quite neck and neck as well. And honestly, with the efforts that Minwoo put in today, he's going to be an absolute monster in the losers bracket. So if you're watching this, look out for him no matter what. That's my word.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.
I don't want to think about it.